I'm in the cut, the boy in the cut. Jump in the whip with a
And welcome back to In the Cut with Arthur. You're in the cut, and I'm Arthur. Thanks for joining. Back here for another episode. We are on episode 5. Also, very exciting. I guess let's just get into it. I guess I should, in the future, whatever I say, I don't know when it's going to happen. So far, has happened. A couple episodes, I said I didn't know when I was going to have picture art or clip art, whatever, for myself. And then that episode, I ended up making some that night, I think, when I posted it. And then last episode, big exciting stuff for me. I said that I didn't know when I would actually end up posting to a podcast and anything, like to make it a legitimate podcast, and ended up doing it that night. So now, as you're listening to this, and if you follow me on social media, In the Cut with Arthur on Instagram, In the Cut W Arthur on Twitter, this is now hosted on podcasting platforms. So you can listen to it on Apple Podcasts. I'm on there, and I'm also on Spotify, and I'm on I think I'm on Google and some other stuff as well. But I think those are like the two main ones that are out there. And yeah, boy is on them.
Yeah.
So, very excited about that. I know it may not be a big deal because I don't have, many subscribers, but it's a big deal for me. So, like I told you, it's kind of just something that I wanted to do on my own, um, and just something I wanted to challenge myself to do, and kind of making it somewhat legitimate. So, it's on there. So to make your listening experience a little bit easier, opposed to having to listen to YouTube and can't close the damn YouTube app unless you pay money. You already know how I feel about subscriptions. So, yeah. Although, side note, don't know if it works. Because now that, like, even on the iPhone, they have, like, quote unquote multitasking. I think if you watch YouTube on the Safari app and then you minimize it, you can keep the window open and still listening. Haven't done it because I'm a Chrome user, but just a little bit of info of here's some advice that I don't even listen to myself. So anyway, yeah, I still don't think there's a lot of subscribers, but I do have to give a shout out to my A1s since day ones. Um, some homies and friends and family have found me through Instagram's crazy algorithms. Like I said, this was a thing that I just kind of wanted to do myself, grow naturally if it grows at all. Also, is kind of a very therapeutic thing for myself. So it's in some ways I feel like it's more for me than it is for anybody else. And then if people found it and listened to it and enjoyed it, then that's kind of a bonus. But anyway, so that's why I didn't really pimp it out on my own personal Instagram. But Big Brother with their crazy algorithms has started making my stuff viewable, or that you can find it through the people you may know, and they've been pimping it out for me, unfortunately, which is not something I really wanted. But anyway, it's happened, and some of my friends have found it, and they've been listening religiously. So I mean, it's kind of weird getting text messages about different things I've talked on here, or asked questions or help for different things, and getting a text of like, "Oh, hey, you said that you didn't know how to do this. Check this out." So, Abe, I know you most likely listening. Shout out, thank you for being here for day one, listening through all this shit. And my cousin Justin, I know, is listening to it, and I think he's gone through and listened to all these episodes. And that's really wild because I think I talk a lot anyway, normally in real life as well. So to have to go through listening to me talk all the time, anytime we hang out or talk, and then dedicating hours to listen to each podcast that I've dropped, that's dedication. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you helping me out and being a part of the journey. And my new goal, remember, get picked up by Disney, be in that Disney bubble, and just be fucking rich. I won't forget you. So yeah, that's been pretty exciting. And I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the support. It's meant a lot to me. And then if there's anybody else out there that is outside my extended friends and family that has somehow found this and has found it somewhat interesting, I appreciate it as well. So today there was a pretty big episode of The Mandalorian yesterday that I was super fucking hyped to watch. I watched it like at midnight. I actually started watching it without Yami because I was that hyped. And I never watch it without her, but you know, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. And then she got off work and we did the like Disney Plus like watch party thing. So then I started watching it again, which I did not mind. And then I watch it religiously with my kids and watched it again with them. So I loved it. It was so good. Um, but we're going to have my second guest today, my homie Paul, and he is also a huge Star Wars fan. So let me see if I can get him on the line, and let's pray that this worked so we can have a nice little conversation about this. Before I call Paul, I do want to say, and I think it goes without saying, we are going to talk about obviously this last episode and some previous episodes, but mainly this last episode. I think we're going to talk a lot about, without saying, spoilers. Spoilers are ahead. Okay, it's going to be spoiler filled. We're going to talk completely about this episode. There is definitely things that could be spoiled in it, especially if you don't know what happens. And if you haven't watched the season at all, then definitely there's spoilers. And if you've watched everything up until the final episode, there's 100% spoilers. So again, I'm going to put on the siren again. It's the Ghostbuster siren. I love it. I love it. Spoilers, 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 spoilers. If I haven't told you there's going to be spoilers, there's going to be spoilers coming up. So now would be a good time to pause it, and you're going to have to go watch The Mandalorian and then come back. So let's go ahead and let's call Paul. All right, what's up, Paul? How you doing?
Doing well. What's up,
Doing
Arthur?
well.
Yeah.
Not much, man. I miss you.
Yeah, I miss you too, dude.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but
Whatever.
good to see you. Yeah, thank you for joining me on In the Cut. I appreciate it. So yeah, I know you wanted to join. There's been a lot of stuff to talk about as far as the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
So I mean, we haven't talked about it at all, or texted really. So, what do you want to do? Do you want to just talk about like each little episode a little bit, and then at the end, or like what do you want to do?
I don't know. You want to do finale, and then if it comes up, we'll go back to other episodes.
Okay, all right. So I have a little bit of theme song. As you know,
Okay.
I am one for the cover songs of the Mandalorian theme. So
Yeah.
let's listen to it before we get in. Let's get in the mood. This is somebody singing all the parts to it. Hey.
That's all someone's voice.
That's all somebody's voice.
That's
I'm telling
cool.
you, I have listened to like almost all the remake versions of somebody trying to make the Mandalorian. I've sent you some. I've listened to like metal versions, 80s versions, violin versions, tuba versions, piano versions, you name it. I've listened to it. So I mean, let's get started. So I mean, what do you want to talk about the finale? I mean, I liked how the episode just got straight into it.
Yeah.
There was no fluff to it. You know, you had Boba chasing down the ship, and I was like, okay, because well, first I thought there was 2 more episodes, so I didn't know what kind of cliffhanger they were going to leave us with. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, and then so then that happened, and then they go to the title. Which the one thing I love about The Mandalorian is the title actually kind of can give you some insight to what the episode's going to be about. So when it was called The Rescue, I was like, oh, fuck yeah. Let's fucking go.
Okay, so Boba, it's like real quick. I
Yeah.
know he's like a super fan favorite,
Yes.
but if you think about it, I mean his role was pretty instrumental in the original trilogy, but he didn't really have a big part. So I mean,
Okay.
people loved him, but I mean he didn't. There wasn't really much to his character until the Mandalorian, and now I super love him because he's such a cool character.
I agree. I have to say, I mean, I guess he was integral in the original trilogy because of him having the bounty for Han Solo.
Yeah,
But like he had no screen time, so I never really understood the hype of Boba.
he just looked cool.
He did look cool, but like also he got beat pretty easy.
Yeah.
Like they weren't even trying to hit him, and then they hit his backpack, and then the dude went into the Starlight pit. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I think they made Boba super fucking cool. I think one thing about this series is they give everybody what everybody wants, but I don't feel like they do it in a way that's just like, oh, we're just gonna come and jack off all the fans. Like they actually like everything kind of has purpose and is like pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that was sick. And yeah, I mean he had a huge role in this episode. One thing I liked when they so right after that they go to the title, and then I think they go to like the cantina somewhere to find the other Mandalorians. Which when I realized that this was like the episode, like the finale, I didn't think that they were going to have time to go get Bo-Katan and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I was kind of shocked, and I was happily shocked. But I thought it was really cool how I mean I guess Boba's pretty well known in the universe too.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't have assumed that he was.
Well, I mean, if you're just based off what we got from the OG trilogy, he didn't have that much screen time, but I mean, he was like this world famous bounty hunter. So I just assumed that most people knew of him or who he was.
Yeah.
By like reputation, but not based on what we were given, but just kind of, I guess, implied.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also liked how I only know Bo-Katan. I don't know her little homie's name.
Yeah.
Do you know her name?
No, I don't.
Okay, cool. We're both bad fans.
Yeah.
But I really like the dialogue of her when she pretty much acknowledges that he's a clone.
Yeah.
And then I think it was Bo-Katan who was like, oh, like I've heard your voice so many times before. I was like, oh, that's kind of sick because all the stormtroopers used to be based off him. Like I was like, I don't know. I really enjoyed that and kind of like acknowledging that whole part of the world. And what else did she say? Oh, when they're like, oh, you're not a Mandalorian. You don't deserve that armor.
Yeah.
And then he was like, this was my father's armor. And she's like, do you mean your donor? Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah, she was being just like a straight up bitch, and it was awesome.
Yeah, I was here for it. And then, of course, they started fighting and stuff, which was pretty sick. And then from there, they pretty much go to their plan to like go rescue the homie Grogu, which was pretty sick. Yeah, I don't know. What were you thinking about that?
I thought it was cool. Like this has been a really good season, and I'm glad that they made the finale longer. Because I've been feeling like the previous episodes this whole season have been pretty short.
Yeah.
And they gave us an extra 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I had seen the memes and stuff, but pretty much when Ahsoka gave Mando the spear, everybody was like, okay, like pretty much here's a spear, you're gonna have to go fight Moff Gideon with his dark saber with it.
Yeah.
So that was pretty sick. And then okay, so another one of my favorite parts was activating the Dark Troopers.
Yeah. Dude,
also,
I was so stressed like that whole time when they'd show the little power meter too. I'm like, dude, he's not gonna make it. And it shows it like next scene, the power meter's up higher. I'm like, oh fuck, dude, he's gonna have to fight all of them.
Yes. Also, when COVID's over, like I want to go to a Vegas club and I want to see the Dark Troopers, because why did this go so hard?
Activate the Dark Trooper.
Like, how did they go so hard?
I know they put a little music in there on that one.
Yeah. And like it's no type of music that you're gonna like hear in Star Wars, I feel like.
Yeah.
But it was honestly, it went so hard, and I was like, oh, these Dark Troopers fuck. Like they fuck hard. Like yeah, I don't know. I was really shocked like by the music, but I loved it. And then like every time they cut back to them, they went to that like super hard like electronic music, like as they were like lining up and stuff. So I was like, dude, this is pretty sick. Now, how do you feel about stuff like this? Because stuff like this always kind of like piques my interest, even with like the prequel trilogy and stuff. When they introduce something that's like pretty hardcore, but yet doesn't exist in the future. So like I know this is like post Empire, before First Order, and we don't even know if these are going to be like the same wavelengths. Like, does this post Empire straight turn into the First Order, or are they kind of their own dying cause, and the First Order is something else, but also adopted all the technology from the Empire? So, but you have these dude, these things were pretty badass.
Yeah, they were.
And to think that the First Order didn't implement anything like that. How do you feel about stuff like that? Because I don't know. Sometimes it's kind of weird to me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get what you're talking about. I feel like that way too. Like when they with the original trilogy, and then they go back to like when you watch the prequels, like how like all the force powers and the lightsaber battles. I'm like, why didn't they put that in? Like, why wasn't that in the original trilogy? And then everyone's so much more badass in the prequels.
Yes.
And then, but I don't know. Maybe, because that's a good point. Maybe we'll get in the next season or whatever. We'll figure out maybe the technology was lost or whatever. But I mean that makes a lot of sense. Like, why didn't the First Order just have a whole army of Dark Troopers?
Yes. I mean, the other thing I was thinking was that maybe because the doctor had said that pretty much this was the last iteration of the Dark Troopers.
Yeah.
So the only thing that I'm thinking of is possibly like those were the only Dark Troopers. So there wouldn't have been more for the First Order to adopt. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess we also have to see is like, did this old Empire turn into the First Order? Like, how, like, what's that transition? And I mean, we don't know what they're going to do with the Doctor. I mean, I don't even know where they left him. Like, they used him to get onto the ship, and then like where he's at now, we don't know.
Yeah, that was it. You don't see anything else from him after that.
But I mean, they captured Moff Gideon, so I can't imagine there's great things in his future.
No.
So maybe there wasn't anybody to like really have that info of like, oh, hey, we got these badass droid Dark Troopers.
Okay, so like I didn't think about it until you just brought it up right now. But so what? The thing that I'm a little confused on too is like, is Moff Gideon and his light cruiser, is that all there is left of the Empire, or is there like a bigger ship out there with more dudes or other factions somewhere? And then if there isn't, that would make sense why the Dark Troopers never came back, because everything would be on that light cruiser, and Bo-Katan commandeered the ship to take back Mandalore.
I mean, I think there has to be more, because I mean, there were little, I don't know, support troops out everywhere. Because like that planet that like most of her season 1 took place on, like there was an outpost of stormtroopers. That was this season where they go to, what did they go to do? They went to go blow up someplace, and there was another outpost of stormtroopers and officers and stuff. So I think there's like all these like little factions everywhere. Because I mean, the Empire had to be pretty huge.
Yeah.
Oh, another part that we totally skipped over. Um, I really liked the dialogue when they like took that like transport ship over or whatever it was, the one that like the same one that Kylo comes in the beginning of The Force Awakens,
Hmm.
um, where the guy's holding the doctor hostage. And
Yeah.
then he's like, oh, you're from Alderaan. And then, like, I feel like everybody's good from their own perspective.
Yeah.
So he kind of like was like, oh, you guys are terrorists. Like, you guys killed millions of people when you destroyed the Death Star.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, just kind of like hearing the other side of like, no, you guys are the shitbags, but also like, that this is kind of what you did. And then her line was kind of hard, where she was like, wait, he's like, oh, I was on the Death Star. And she's like, which one?
Oh yeah. Well, have you seen? I think it's Clerks.
I have. It's been a long time.
They do that little scene where they talk about the Death Star. Do you remember that? Where they talk about like, oh, there was like thousands of contractors and just people that just worked there, and they killed every single one of them in there.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked when you really think about it.
Yeah, and then Kevin Smith is just like a huge Star Wars fan.
Yeah,
so that was pretty cool. They talked about it on there.
Yeah, I like that. So I mean, but I guess my other thinking about that is like, if there was just millions of people on the Death Star, like the Empire had to be huge because they basically ruled the whole galaxy. So there has to be more of these factions out there, I would assume. I don't know how many just kind of rolled over and was like, oh, they blew up the Death Star, like everything's over.
So they had like little factions everywhere, and at least all the ones that we saw on the show, they kind of reported to Moff Gideon, or they were for his cause.
Yeah.
Then what happens now? That they've captured him. They've captured his ship.
Oh yeah, because there's also that outpost where they left Bill Burr out. Bill Burr at.
Okay, real quick on that one. They literally just like, all right, dude, see you later, and they got in their ships and took off and just left him on the planet. It's like, how's he gonna get home?
Like, it's cool that they let him be free, but then they were just like, this planet, you have no idea where it's at, and you don't know anybody, and it's kind of like overran by like the Empire. Well, I guess they blew it up, but it's like, yeah, go make yourself a life.
Well, then they had all the tribal people that were trying to kill him when they were driving the little tank thing.
Yeah,
they're like, oh yeah, we just pretty much killed a bunch of these people and the Empire at the same time, so you don't have any friends on this planet. We'll see you later, maybe next season.
Hey, thanks for your help, and because of that, we're going to give you your freedom.
Yeah,
I loved Bill Burr's character.
Yeah, he was great.
He was great. I mean, I love him, all his comedy stuff in general, but like his character was really good.
I liked him last season, but I didn't think that they were going to do anything else with him. And when they brought him back and then they built him up, that was super cool.
I really got so hyped when they were going through the little database and then his face came up. He's like, oh, I need him. I was like, oh, fuck yeah, because I had no clue. I also actually think, I don't think they just added him because of, quote unquote fan service, but I actually liked how they used his character in this episode or, 2 episodes ago, because I felt like they kind of used him to talk through Mando's kind of like evolution.
Yeah.
Because he had like some deep talks with him, like, your rules only matter until something else matters more.
Yeah.
And that was kind of, I know you said you were sad to see him take his helmet off.
It was weird. It was kind of like, dude, that's your whole deal. But then it humanizes the character, which is really cool.
Yeah. I mean, it showed obviously how much he cares about Grogu.
Yeah.
That he would prefer to do whatever he needed. And I had read some like, I don't know, a theory that he was probably going to have to take off his helmet to rescue Grogu, because they didn't know if, like, the classic Star Wars of having to dress up as Imperial or Stormtrooper or whatever to infiltrate someplace.
Mm-hmm.
It was also interesting that they kind of acknowledged that, this armor stinks.
Yeah.
And it's all sweaty, which like completely makes sense. And I mean, I'm kind of surprised how weak Stormtrooper armor is.
Yeah.
It like literally shatters with just getting hit with something. So kind of what's the point?
Yeah. It's like, well, I mean, they get shot It doesn't deflect anything.
Yes.
But if you think about it, going back to our talk about the Empire, like how huge it was, and the amount of resources it would require for them to make good armor for all their troops, it makes sense that the armor sucks. But then you're kind of like, what's the point then? You just give them some, like a t-shirt and jeans.
Yeah. I mean, just go out there, like, just wear whatever. But it's like the armor did nothing. You're right. If you get shot, it does nothing.
You hit in the head with a stick, it just shatters.
It shatters. You die. It has a weak point under your chin where you could get choked out and your neck broken. And I'm sure you can't see well in it.
No.
So I don't know the point. So it sucks to be a stormtrooper. That's why Finn didn't want to be one anymore.
Yeah. For that reason only.
That was the main thing. He was like, yo, like this shit kind of sucks, but this armor sucks more.
Yeah. Like I can't see out of it. I just saw my homie get hit with a rock and he died.
Yeah. I saw somebody else get shot. Yeah. It's hot in here. I'm sweating.
Yeah. Okay, so Ewoks were dropping rocks on dudes' heads and killing them. Little tiny rocks. Ewoks aren't very big, so the size of rocks that they have to pick up to drop are very small. And they were killing stormtroopers with rocks and sticks.
Yeah. I mean, well, maybe the padding inside the helmet isn't very good either. I also like a lot of stormtroopers screaming in this whole season. They've really humanized stormtroopers, which is kind of cool because you kind of assume they're always like robotic and stuff, but you kind of forget that there's people in there. You know, I mean, obviously last season they had them sock Grogu. This season, when they're trying to take Mando and Boba, they're like, "Move, you idiot!" Like, so I don't know. I thought there was a lot of cool stuff like that too.
I liked when they were attacking the ship, and I think it was Mando killed that one stormtrooper when he fell off the bridge and fell out of the shield into space. I was like, man, that was a nice touch.
Yes, he just kind of like screamed.
Yeah,
it was good. So let's see. So then they activate the Dark Troopers.
Yeah,
and then we get to see Mando fight one. Okay. Now we're talking about helmets. This is what kind of padding does Mando have in his helmet?
Yeah. So I understand that his armor is Beskar, but there's still a human head inside of there.
Yes. And like it was getting socked enough that it was denting into the wall, and he was not concussed at all.
No.
I don't know. That was crazy to me. I was like,
going back to last season with the armor, you only see her like melt down the metal. So I've just been thinking that it's just been straight metal in there, and but there has to be some kind of padding. Otherwise, that definitely would have killed him.
Yeah. Well, I'm also curious. I mean, obviously, it must have to be some Mandalorian way, but it's like, how do they melt it down if like you can't even melt it with a lightsaber?
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a lot to explore.
Okay, we'll get to it, but we'll get to that part. I was just going to say, because I mean, when he was fighting Moff Gideon, you could see the spear start to get red from the darksaber. So maybe like prolonged heat would melt it down. Yeah, but like just fighting with it was fine.
I mean, at this point, Beskar has to be stronger than vibranium, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think so. I mean, because Thanos ended up breaking the vibranium. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the Dark Trooper fight was pretty cool, and then he just like, I was wondering if like once he blew them out, if they were going to come back.
Yeah,
like because it just kind of.
I forgot about the jetpacks for a second.
Yeah, I was like, okay. Also, how do they control the Dark Troopers? Like, how do the Dark Troopers know who's good and who's bad?
Yeah. So I thought that too. Like when they came back, or like when they activated them, like how did they know what they were supposed to be doing?
Yes, I thought the same thing. Like, how did they know that Mando was a bad guy that they were supposed to kill?
And how did they know that they were supposed to, once they were activated, how are they supposed to head to the bridge to find him?
Yes.
Like when they got shot out of the ship and they came back, how did they know to go straight to the bridge to save Moff Gideon?
And and again, how did they know who was bad and who was good? Because you wouldn't want these droids around that just kill anybody except Moff Gideon. And he implied that they knew that they shouldn't kill Grogu either.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this is jumping ahead, but when they were in there, he goes, "All of you guys are going to die except me and the child."
Yeah. So maybe whenever they activated him, they had some kind of orders or something.
I mean, I guess, but like, do you think they just have to like type it up like oh here, attack everybody on the ship except the Moff?
Yeah, I don't know.
So so then they wiped them all out, and then from there he pretty much it's him going to the then I think they show them go to the bridge and murk everybody.
Yeah.
Which was I mean that was kind of expected. But then again, I think they kind of did the different point of view thing, because I think later Moff said, "Oh, she's probably in the bridge, and they probably already killed every single person in there, like the murderous people you are."
Yeah.
And then I think there's also some good foreshadowing, because obviously, I mean, this is jumping ahead again. He gets to Moff, and they have a pretty sick fight. I actually thought he was going to let him go.
Like let him leave the ship?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, he said he had the blood, which is all they needed. And then was like, okay, if he escapes, it's kind of like the villain gets away, and then, there's a fight for another day.
Yeah.
So I was actually a little bit shocked that he decided to fight him and try to kill him, which was a pretty good fight.
Yeah, it was.
So let's see, and then from there he fights him and he ends up winning, which was, I mean, I guess kind of expected. I kind of didn't think he was going to lose that fight. And then they go to the bridge, and I've already watched this episode like 2.5 times. I liked it that much, but I think they did a good job, because obviously we didn't know much about the Darksaber. I don't know about you if you watch Clones.
I started and I haven't gotten to that part yet, so I didn't know the whole rule about it.
Yes, so I don't know if that was already in there, if that's in Clones, because same thing. I'm watching it now too, because this is all too interlinked to like not know it.
Yeah.
But she pretty much, Moff Gideon, being the bad guy he is, pretty much says like, "Oh, are you just going to kill him now?" Because if she wants the Darksaber and she wants to rule Mandalore, she needs that, and the only way to get it is to beat you in battle.
Yeah.
Like watching it back, knowing that it makes sense, everything that she says, because when they're doing the plan, she says Moff Gideon's mine,
he has to surrender to me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they were like, "Oh," and then that's when Cara Dune is like, "Oh, well, he would be really helpful to have all the information he has. Like, don't kill him." And she's like, "Fine, you could do whatever you want with him, but I'm going to fight him."
Yeah.
And then even when Mando shows up, and I don't know why, he didn't really care about the Darksaber, but he comes in holding Grogu, holding Moff Gideon in cuffs, and with the Darksaber on.
Yeah.
I'm like,
he
dude,
walks
this is
in like,
where you guys been? What's going on?
Look what I found.
But after watching that again, you could see on Bo-Katan's face, like, oh fuck, like that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah. Like that's because he said something about them. They're at the bridge and they realize I'm not there, and they're all starting to freak out.
Yeah.
So then I think, like, I don't know if it was planned or not, but then you kind of think maybe it was.
Oh.
That Moff Gideon planned that whole thing because he knew Mando was going to come for the kid. He knew Bo-Katan was going to go to the bridge. So, I mean, maybe he planned on being in the brig, fighting Mando, and knew he was going to lose.
Dude.
And Mando, not knowing anything about the Darksaber, would be like, "Oh, that's cool. I'm going to pick this up and give it to Bo-Katan." You know?
Dude, you kind of blew my mind right now.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely plausible, because he is that kind of guy who would just, if he's going to go down and it's too late, like might as well just fuck everything up anyway.
Yeah, he knew. I have a feeling he knew he was going to lose no matter who he ended up facing.
Yeah.
And he just wanted to cause more problems. So he lost to Mando and allowed him to take the saber, and then the whole thing.
I think to your point, because that might have been another out for him, because if Bo-Katan was so hungry for the Darksaber, she might have fought him right then and there. And through all that chaos, he might have been able to try slipping away.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I'm curious now, but I think that's a pretty solid theory of what could have happened or why he did that.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
And I know you watched it a couple times. I don't remember what happened to Bo-Katan's friend because she got smoked, but did she die or what?
I think she's still alive.
Okay, because I don't remember. I remember her getting shot up, and then I don't remember seeing her after that.
Yeah, I think she's still alive. I mean, I think she got shot in the Beskar.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, they show up, and then I really like that whole scene. I thought it was done really well. Like you could see in Bo-Katan's face that she's just like, oh shit, everything's fucked up, and then you learn why she's kind of like shocked that Mando has this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then obviously we get Grogu back, and then they have to start worrying about the Dark Trooper, Rage Squad coming in.
Punching the door open.
The Dark Trooper.
How did they know to punch the door in too? Like how did they? I don't know. Again, like they were so synced up in what they did, and they just started hitting their little like Karate Kid like practice moves of just like hitting the wall. Yeah. And then they're like, oh, like then all of a sudden you hear like, of course, it's right as they're right about to bust in, you hear like boop 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 boop, and then it's a single X-wing.
Yeah.
Which this whole episode's been a spoiler, but if you haven't watched it, this is a super super spoiler. When did you realize that it was Luke?
Okay, so I see the green lightsaber, and then you see the gloved hand. And then when I saw the other naked hand, that's when I knew it was Luke.
So before were you like, okay, maybe it's not Luke and they're just trying to trick us?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it could have been anybody with the green lightsaber.
Yeah.
And then he was holding it with his gloved hand and he did the force stuff with his other hand. And that's when I knew it was Luke. I was like, there's no reason why he'd be wearing one glove and not the other. If it
Did you lose
Luke.
Your shit?
Yeah.
So did I. I did not see that coming.
No.
That shit blew my mind. That's why I told you, dude, stay off the internet because I didn't want to like spoil what was going to happen. But like, I mean, okay, let's also like, obviously people love to post shit online as soon as they see it and, try to get that clickbait. I was actually disappointed even Mark Hamill had posted like a picture of him like going like, shh.
Okay, so I saw that and I posted that on my story, but I hadn't seen the episode. So I thought that was just him like, don't talk about the episode. And then after I watched the episode, I was like, man, I posted a spoiler without even knowing it.
Well, that was my thing. Like, I understand that he was trying to not have people spoil it, but he hasn't posted anything about The Mandalorian. So it's kind of like, I guess by the time I had watched it, like literally like at like 1:00 at night, because I was expecting a good episode and couldn't wait.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of like, okay, now Mark Hamill's posting something. We all are expecting some Jedi to connect with Grogu.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the Jedi who's trying to rebuild the Jedi Order at this time? I mean, I think we all hoped it was going to be Luke, but nobody expected it.
I honestly, I don't know why, and I'm still holding out for it, but I want Mace Windu to be alive.
Yes.
And I want Samuel L. Jackson to come back to play him.
I mean, he is embedded in Disney. So, I mean, it's definitely within the realm of possibilities.
Yeah.
Okay. For me, I think I kind of knew at the same moment that it was Luke. I mean, as soon as I saw the X-Wing, I guess I hoped it was Luke.
Yeah.
I didn't know if Ahsoka had an X-Wing, but I also like that to kind of like prolong, your orgasm and just keep edging you is that. So first Grogu peeks up, like he's like, oh shit, like a homie's here to help. And then he starts looking at the screen, puts his hand out, and then they start watching through the screen which is black and white. So then as he's fighting with the lightsaber, you can't tell what color it is. So you can't tell if it's Ahsoka and it's her white saber, or if it's Luke with his green saber, or if it's Mace with his purple lightsaber. Like, you couldn't tell because it was black and white. So I really like that kind of like choice to like kind of keep you going, like, okay, who the fuck is this? And then he just fucking destroys the Dark Troopers.
He fucked them all up.
I mean, even though he force choked a droid and like shriveled it.
Yeah, that last one where he just kind of crushed it, I was like, oh my God, dude, that was so cool.
Okay, I don't know if this is going to be controversial. In my opinion, one thing that upsets me about Star Wars, I mean, obviously you can probably, I think it's a pretty safe argument of that Luke and Darth Vader are probably the biggest characters of, obviously, the Skywalker trilogy. I mean, they're the two Skywalkers in it. They're obviously probably the most popular too. The one thing that bothers me, and I guess kind of like you said, I mean, there's not much you can do, but I feel like their most badass scenes are not within the Skywalker trilogy.
No.
So, I mean, I would argue that Darth Vader's best scene is in Rogue One.
Yep.
Where he pretty much does like the same thing. Like, it's almost like they did like the same thing that Luke did, but instead of, it was droids instead of, you know, random, you know, ship guys. And Luke's, I feel like that was Luke's best scene as a Jedi.
Yeah.
It was just everything that you've always wanted to see him do.
Yeah, that was better than the Kylo scene too.
Which one?
When he fought him.
Oh, when he fought Luke?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he is technically fighting a projection.
Yeah. But I mean, it was just, I don't know. I just thought it's a better scene.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I think probably the only comparable scene within like the actual movies for me would either be one in the throne room when they kill Snoke.
Yeah, that one's a good one.
Even though, you know, afterwards people have broke it down and found all these continuity errors and like they're fighting. But still, that first time watching it, I remember just losing my shit and just being like, this is fucking sick. And then the second one would probably be when Kylo turns back to Ben and he goes to fight everybody. What he was that the Knights of Ren he fought, I think?
When he pulls the lightsaber out of nowhere?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think like that whole scene and then him and Rey fighting together, I think like those are probably like the two best like Jedi scenes for me, at least, in the movies. But I mean, Luke's was like everything you've always wanted to see him do. And I probably also, I think what people wanted to see in the sequels too.
When he cut the one in half from top to bottom, it just kind of like fell over like that. I was like, that was cool.
I mean, did he even use a force to like pull one and then chopped it?
Yeah.
I don't know. He did he did a bunch of cool shit. I mean, I think because part of the problem is like you said, like the prequels had a bunch of badass Jedi shit. And the one defense I will say, like, as far as like the movies is Luke technically is only a Jedi in the sequels. I mean, like in the original trilogy, like he just barely got a lightsaber, barely learned some stuff from Obi-Wan, who then just let himself die, and had a little bit of training from Yoda. Yeah. So like he didn't really quite know what to do and didn't have like full-fledged training. And then you could pretty much say the same thing for Rey, that she didn't really have any training and was just trying to figure it out on her own. Yeah, with Luke in the original trilogy, you can pretty much just assume that he had, unless they did it, you know, behind the scenes and they don't show you. But the only time he ever practiced with the lightsaber was when he was doing the like blindfolded laser targeting with Obi-Wan, and that's the only scene he ever practices with a lightsaber. Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, and then as far as force training, he didn't have any Jedi books. He only had whatever little bit he learned from Yoda. So yeah. And then same thing with Rey. I mean, Rey never really had any training either, until she trained a little bit with Luke. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that pretty much wraps up the episode. Where do you think it goes from here?
I don't know. So I saw so watching the episode and it ends, and then watching the after credits. I was thinking, I was like, okay, so they're just dropping the Mando story and they're going to pick up for Boba Fett. And then I was on Instagram later and it said that they're doing a new show for Boba Fett. So okay, cool. So for a little bit, I thought that the Mandalorian story was done and they were going to pick up with Boba Fett only.
Really?
But then now, yeah, I don't know why, but that's what I was thinking for some reason. And then, but I don't know what else they could do Mandalorian wise now that he doesn't, unless they do just like random missions for him in the episodes now.
Well, I mean, I definitely think
or maybe retaking Mandalore, they might do that.
That's what I assumed was going to be the next season, is retaking Mandalore. There's obviously going to be a lot to explore with what Bo-Katan does now.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because Mando doesn't care about keeping the Darksaber, but apparently she strongly believes that Are you pulling your dick out? What the fuck?
Sorry. Did you see that?
Yeah. You're on camera.
Yeah. No, my underwear. I was getting a wedgies from sitting here.
Are you getting a boner?
Yeah. Talking about Star Wars.
That's hot. That's fucking hot. Yeah, I mean, Mando definitely doesn't care about the Darksaber.
No.
But Bo-Katan really does seem to care about what the history of it is.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad for her.
And then, so he goes, like, so he's his whole clan was like a cult pretty much.
Yes.
So how are the other Mandalorians going to see him too? I know he has the Darksaber, but then he's like that really culty offshoot Mandalorian. So what's their reaction going to be to this guy that doesn't really, he has like these strict codes. He has the Darksaber now, doesn't even care about it.
Well, do you think he still is part of that strict code?
I think
he's broken the rules now twice.
Yeah. Well, I guess technically 3 times. But with IG-11.
Well, I mean, IG-11 said I'm not a living being.
Yeah. So I guess that doesn't count then. But it was still someone saw his face with the helmet off.
Yeah.
But I think he's starting to realize that that's not the only way. Yeah. There's more than one way.
That's what I think. I think he's starting to soften up. I think Grogu softened him up a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, well, before we go on future, I mean, do we go on the show with no more Grogu?
I don't know.
You know how I feel about it. I feel like, first off, we might not have more Grogu.
Yeah.
And what I feel?
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Bold strategy.
Yeah.
Because there's obviously people who are just Star Wars fans. There's obviously I guess we can't be hardcore nerds, even though I think we're pretty hardcore because we haven't watched Clone Wars, and it plays a big part in this. But I don't know to take. I mean, right now you have to assume Grogu's off the show.
Yeah.
And I think there's a big portion of people who only watch for him because they made him cute as fuck.
All the merchandise they sold just off of Grogu.
Yes.
And I mean, I guess they could keep pushing it, but I mean, he's not going to be on the show anymore.
Yeah.
Like how much, action figures and merchandise can they really do if he's not a character anymore?
Yes. Exactly. That's why I think it's a bold strategy. I mean, here's the only thing. When Disney did their investor announcements, they said that there's going to be a new show, Ahsoka Tano, that takes place during the timeline of The Mandalorian. And then they said that there's going to be an unnamed show that also takes place during the same timeline of The Mandalorian.
Mm-hmm.
So is that unnamed show the Book of Boba Fett? Or is that unnamed show following Grogu and the Jedi Academy? And are they just going to have a full-fledged CGI Luke the whole time? Or are they going to recast him? If they do that.
And then thinking about the Jedi Academy, going back to it with Kylo,
Yes.
and when Luke turned on him, was Grogu there?
That's the other thing. So, I mean, I think what I've seen so far in the timelines, at this point, Kylo's like maybe a couple years old.
So, I don't remember the amount of years between the show and the movie. What is it, like 15 or 20 years, something like that?
It is.
So then we don't know. Grogu's 50.
Yes.
We don't know what 20 years would do for him because Yoda was like 900 years old.
Yes.
So
yeah,
we don't.
I mean,
is 20 years nothing still to him? Like,
I would
he still be
imagine,
a baby?
in my opinion, I mean, he's 50 years old and he's still like pretty babyish. Like he can't even really talk.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty clear that he can understand and
Yeah.
listen. He can communicate through the Force. But yeah, I mean, I think as far as like Grogu's trajectory, I mean, either he gets trained in 10 to 15 years and then Luke's like, yeah, go off on your own, even though at most, maybe he's like the equivalent of like a 1-year-old.
Yeah.
Or he's there. And I've also seen a lot of like Twitter rage on like the hardcore Star Wars nerds that technically Kylo didn't blow up the Jedi Academy that Snoke did, according to the Rise of Kylo comics.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I mean, pretty much there's another destruction, however it happens, of another Jedi Academy that Grogu's at after he already escaped Order 66.
Yeah. After he watched all his homies get killed by Anakin.
And then they pretty much said that he was in a dark place for the whole time after.
So was he just in like PTSD from all the younglings getting killed and up until he meets Mando?
Yeah. I mean, it could be a possibility that he could be an Obi-Wan show.
Grogu?
Yeah.
Yeah. So timeline for that though. Oh yeah. I mean, it would work, but he's still a child.
Well, but that's what they're selling him as. I mean, he could look the same.
That's true. Yeah.
So I mean, I guess he would be even smaller though.
Be like a little tadpole in a cup.
Just a little sperm. Yeah, I mean, he had to be pretty damn small, but then he was also big enough to at least be somewhat trained in the Force.
Yeah.
But I mean, it could happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just can't imagine that they just totally dropped this like super cute, awesome fucking character they made and not have any more toys, merchandise, or any more story to him.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe the show is about the Jedi Academy, but then at that point, I think they're going to have to reconsider recasting Mark Hamill. I think maybe it won't be that bad because he's alive.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be okay if he's alive to say it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people want Sebastian Stan, the Winter Soldier, to play young Mark Hamill.
I think it could work.
It could. He's already in the Disney umbrella.
Yeah. And they don't look exactly alike, but it's not too far.
It's like Ewan McGregor. I mean, he didn't look exactly
weird.
like Obi-Wan, but it was close enough to believe he's a young Obi-Wan.
Yeah. But we didn't have a young Obi-Wan at that point, so it could have been anybody.
Yeah.
We know what young Luke looks like. I think that would be the issue with people is like when they did Solo.
Oh, okay. Like young Han.
Yeah, because I mean, we already had young Han. That he was in the original trilogy. That was young Han, and then they did a little bit younger Han, and he didn't look like him. And I know a lot of people didn't like that.
Well, that's going to always be hard though, unless you do these weird like CGI face things, which I think are really good. But it was still a little odd because there's points where his mouth didn't move that much.
Yeah,
and like I felt like you could tell that the body was just different. Like when he was like walking through and he was just all hooded and he's fighting all the dark troopers. I mean, I feel like you could always tell. So I think you're better off going a full recasting. The other thing they could do is like, I mean, I guess you're right. It's the same thing with Solo. They could do a little bit of a time jump. So it's a slightly older Luke than we've seen.
Yeah.
So that's why he looks a little bit different.
They just kind of clean up Mark Hamill a little bit. Get rid of the beard, maybe dye his hair so it's not gray.
Really? You might have to shed a couple LBs, and I'm not one to talk shit because you know I got some LBs to shed too. But but I don't know. I mean, I think they're better off recasting it. I mean, I think that would be a super cool story to see a limited series or something that goes from like the point where we see Luke now until basically right before he maybe I would actually even be okay if it goes before um, he kills or Ben's like old enough to really like be trained. Like we really only see like a young Ben.
Mm-hmm.
I would be down with that.
Yeah.
Um, but isn't this also kind of weird if you really think about it? They made a big deal that when the Rise of Skywalker came out, that this was the last story told within the Skywalker saga. And truth be told, it's not. Because
No.
now technically the Mandalorian is part of the Skywalker saga
Mm-hmm.
because Luke's in it. I mean,
I feel like it's one of those things they can't really truly
escape.
get out of. Yeah. Especially movie wise, comic books and video games and regular books and stuff, they can explore everything else. But that's more people that like Star Wars because they like Star Wars.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the movies and the shows, the Skywalkers are the big appeal in it.
Yeah.
And
well, they need to make some other characters. I actually wouldn't have been opposed to another Jedi rescuing Luke or Luke Grogu. Because that was a theory that I had seen. Is like maybe it's possible if Grogu got away from the temple, there was tons of Jedis. There could have been other Jedis that we didn't know existed, and maybe that's who Grogu connected with.
Sorry to cut it short, but I think Midoriya's starting to do her hair now, so I think we gotta start taking the dogs out and stuff.
All right. Well, yeah, it was good chatting with you. Anytime you want to jump on, let me know. I think maybe you're welcome anytime.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Good seeing you, man. Take care.
All right. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Awesome. So that was great to have another guest on In the Cut. Hopefully you enjoyed that because I did. And I definitely plan to have more conversations with Paul. I have more stuff to talk to him about, and it sucks that we got cut short. But part of the problem was I was trying to figure out how to record our call and have sound drops in it, and it was a pain. So I'm sure Abe is probably listening, thinking, "You idiot! You could have done it this way." But I was able to do it through Zoom, so that worked. And excuse me, it should be a much smoother setup next time. So it should be easier for me to connect with people if anybody wants to join. Invitations out there to anybody, honestly. If you got something you want to talk about it and you want to be in the cut, then be in the cut. I'm open to it. Like I said, my dream scenario would be as something that's very inclusive. And if some more people than my silly friends and family who have no problem listening to me ramble for an hour want to join, then you can join. So yeah, it's super fun, super exciting. Definitely really want to talk more about the Star Wars universe. It's so exciting. They just, this year, I think they made every Star Wars nerd come in their pants multiple times. I mean, the Boba fans, I think, probably had multiple orgasms. And I hope they're okay because his fucking ship was fucking sick. I didn't even get to talk to Paul about that. Yeah, his fighting was sick. And then seeing fucking Luke Skywalker come and just fucking murk the Rage Squad, the Dark Troopers. I want to listen to it one more time just because I fucking love this shit.
Activate the
Dark Troopers. Ooh, when are they doing Coachella? Hey, oh, hey, yeah. I'm telling you, if there's not a DJ who doesn't sample that and have right before the drop, activate the Dark Troopers, you're dumb. You're missing out. I may become a DJ just to do that, but definitely I can't wait until, honestly, my name would be the Dark Troopers. That would be my DJ name, DJ Dark Trooper, and then it'd be like everything powering up is like activate the Dark Troopers. Oh my gosh, that would be sick, right? I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one. Whatever. But anyway, seriously, thank you to anybody who's out there listening, especially my A1s since day ones of being in the cut. I really didn't anticipate anybody listening, especially people I knew. I actually kind of preferred that they probably didn't. So that's why I did everything solo dolo. But, appreciate that, you saw it and you're like, hey, let me listen to this asshole ramble for an hour. So really appreciate it. It's meant a lot to me, and anybody else that's out there that's still hanging on, I appreciate it as well. You can see me on Instagram on In the Cut with Arthur, Twitter In the Cut W Arthur, and obviously on the YouTubes, where I am considering uploading other content things of just being silly and dumb. So we'll see. I was hoping to get more done today, but I didn't. So I was a little bit lazy, but maybe we'll see. There's other stuff I want to do of just try to do things that I think are entertaining. And like I said, this is kind of therapeutic in a way because I at least entertain myself. And it's better than just sitting and doing nothing. So I appreciate it. So this has been another episode of In the Cut.
Still in the cut, the boy in the cut.
Yeah.
Hop in the whip with a ceiling,
Hey.
go up, we up.
So thank you for being in the cut with Arthur. I'm Arthur. This is In the Cut, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.